We're sitting here today with Jim Michaelian, the man that runs the Long Beach Grand Prix. How you doing, Jim?
The Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach.
I'm so sorry. I got to keep repeating myself today. The Acura Grand Prix. I can't say it like you do, though. Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach.
Well, it's good to be here with you, John. You know,
man, we've gone through this for how many years now?
This is the 48th version of the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. Yeah, hard to believe, isn't it?
It is hard to believe.
1975.
I'd like to throw out right now, and I thought about it this morning because I knew I was going to talk to you. I think for the 50th anniversary, we should do the old course.
Yeah, right.
We should set up the track as the old course.
I'm good with that, but I'll tell you what, you go down and convince all the hoteliers down there in the Renaissance and the Westin and all the restaurants.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. They'd be sold out, so they'll be all good.
Yeah, but they don't want the block in front of their hotels.
I understand, but I don't think people realize what that course looked like back then because you went up Pine Avenue and turned right on Ocean Avenue, and then what did you see?
Yeah, it was fabulous. You saw X-rated theaters, flop houses, and a bunch of tawdry hole-in-the-wall restaurants.
And the pits were on Ocean Avenue.
Pits were on the south side of Ocean. So when you came up Pine Avenue, you either ducked into the pits or you proceeded on around on the north side and continued on down the front straightaway. Start-finish line was right there at Long Beach Boulevard.
Yeah.
And then
what was the right-hand turn?
The right-hand turn was the best part of that.
That's right.
Because the cars would come down Ocean Boulevard or going eastbound, and then they made a right and they went down Linden. It was called the Linden Leap.
Yeah.
And because it descended, why the cars, when they turned, especially drivers like Gilles Villeneuve, they would actually get airborne. So we had pictures of the cars as they came across. They were airborne. Then they came back down. Well, if you know anything about race cars and machinery and everything else, those wheels are spinning in the air, and they come down, and they would hit with a huge impact. And what happens is they would then proceed to snap those half shafts. So at the bottom of the hill, and they come down to the hill and they make a left to go through the parking lot. After the race, you'd look at the bottom of the hill to the right was a collection of 5, 6, 7 cars all sitting there with broken half shafts because when they came over, they were so aggressive, they just hit the bottom.
They were some of the greatest pictures. I just remember I have the one of you posted. I think it was the Marlboro car was
James Hunt.
Yeah.
Up in the air.
My guy, James Hunt.
Brambilla was right behind him, and Mario Andretti was right in front of him. And it was, people gathered there just to see that action.
Right
if you remember, we started them on Ocean Boulevard, with standing start. And by the time they got there was only 2 blocks or so to get to Linden, right? And so there, everybody was coming, accordion effect. And people were like that picture, launching up in the air because somebody hit behind them. So finally, after a few years, we said, well, you know what? Let's at least take the start down to Shoreline Drive, which is what we did. That was 1981, still running Formula One. And we started on Shoreline Drive. We put the start line there, and we finished on Ocean. But what that did was that give them a longer run down to turn 1.
Yeah.
But and then subsequent to that, we decided, you know what, we got to get off this street, and it primarily off of Ocean, primarily because of all the development,
all the redevelopment that was going on.
There was just no way we were going to be able to continue to put the circuit up there and the disruption and everything else. Because now you were dealing with major companies and corporations and businesses and
those 3X movie places didn't count. And they had no voice.
They were gone.
So what year did it change from the Formula One to Indy?
So in order, we did Formula 5000 1975.
That was Brian Redman, right?
Sort of a test race just to make sure. In those days, you had to sort of prove yourself in terms of the circuit and in terms of its viability and can you conduct the event. We passed that test, came back in 76 in March and ran the first Formula One race. And then we continued on for 8 years through 83. And then in 84, we went to Indy cars, or a version Indy cars, as card, champ car, and all of that. But we've been in that mode ever since.
And you realize since the first race, I've always organized some form of transportation for group parties to go to. It's my favorite week of the year. And I remember back in the 76, 77, 78, we used to rent those English double-decker buses because back then Long Beach Transit wasn't tied in to bringing people to downtown. It was a different setup back then.
Yeah.
So we, legends, man, we used to do so well with packing those buses and shipping people back
out
and
in
forth.
front, and you'd see all those people.
It was awesome.
Loading up.
Yeah. It was just the good days back then, and just pull in the shoreline. And we always had our tickets at Grandstand 26. 25, 26.
And 26,
Yeah, those were... God.
Well, so the 2023 version of that is instead of the double-decker buses, you've got the Aqualink pulling up right in front of your place at the dock. And
just like I ordered.
Yeah, and get on, folks, come on down, which we actually promote rather heavily because of the uniqueness of that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no other circuits around that have that particular mode of transportation available to the public. That's a great thing. You say to people, how'd you go to the race? Well, I took my boat over there. Where's your boat? Well, it's the Aqualink, You
go to the boathouse and have a Bloody Mary, then get on the Aqualink.
And I hear you can have a beer or two on the way over and on the way
Bombard
back.
does a good job with that Aqualink, and the bars around there. To me, it's like being in Monaco.
Yeah.
You're traveling underwater, going to the race.
Right. Well, see, that's one of the attractions of being in a downtown center like we are. We have like 2,600 parking spaces for 188,000 people. That that doesn't compute. But when you think about all the different modes of transportation and where they're physically located at, especially the main terminal at First Street and Pine,
right,
where you have the what's called the A line now, the old blue line. You have transit coming down there. You got cycling availability there. We have drop-off for rideshare. Those people all are coming to the circuit without having a car or the requirement of a parking element. So as a consequence of that, we can get people leave in large droves, and you never see an hour, 2-hour backup, because like so many other circuits, because it's just they're all of the paraphernalia that you need to make a circuit like that work. We have here in Long Beach.
Yeah. I remember when I opened Mum's Restaurant in 1988, Pine Avenue was deserted, and I always give the Grand Prix the credit for really helping me get to that next level, because it used to be dead down there. And then I remember Bobby Rahal and Pete Twitty, they came to me one night and said, "Morris, why are you so quiet in here?" And it was like, well, it's downtown Long Beach. I'm by myself here. Yeah. So they, at that time, said, you know what, we're going to start bringing our groups here. And for me, that was massive, because now I've got the main guys in the Grand Prix visiting, telling people to come to Mum's, go to that place. And as you remember, Pine Avenue used to be the hub back then. When La Opera opened and the Pine Avenue Fish House, we were like the place where everybody went.
That first 2 or 3 blocks of Pine Avenue just became the center of activity, because that was before the Pike was in existence. All those restaurants down there, Shoreline Village was still struggling a little bit. So where were you going to go? Within walking distance.
Exactly.
The irony of the whole thing is if you didn't, you went down to 2nd Street and you went down to Legends.
Yeah, and that was a different crowd that went that way. Yeah. The corporate entities wanted the close proximity, and that's why the 555 has been a staple for the Grand Prix for 50 years, 40 years.
If you got sponsor clients and you want to take them out, you're not going to stay out till 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, but you want to go out and have a reasonably nice dinner and a good setting for all that stuff. Why, that's what's made that part of it work, and we benefited from it too.
Yeah. When we ran the concessions for you guys back in the day, and we switched from Formula One to the Indy cars, people always say to me, "Hey, what was the difference?" And my favorite line is, "We went from champagne to beer."
Yeah. And sold a lot more. Of it too. That was important.
But that was the biggest difference for me. Just a different lifestyle. Yeah. Totally different lifestyle.
And a different clientele to a certain degree. And Formula One has done. Right now is doing massively well everywhere. They're bringing another race to the United States in Las Vegas in November, and that event and that series is really expanding rapidly. But by the same token, we're catering to our niche, okay? which is a more domestic series. IndyCar has a tremendous following. So does IMSA, the sports cars. Robbie Gordon's trucks flying through the air.
I love that show.
Everybody loves that. Drifting at night. You know, and ironically enough, this year, one of the races is going to be historic Formula One cars are coming back to Long Beach.
Oh.
So we got 21 cars. The vast majority of them were ones that raced during our time frame between 76 and 83. And I keep telling everybody, you know, when you come to the race, a lot of you will never have seen these cars or heard these cars. When you come, when you're standing there watching the cars, just listen. Just listen to the sound of those engines. V8s, V12s, flat V12s. When they're screaming down Shoreline Drive, that's a sound that will never be equaled again. Never is. And for those who are uninitiated in that regard, that's going to be an experience.
And what day is that going to be on?
Well, they're actually racing twice. They have a race on Saturday and a race on Sunday, 20-minute race in the morning, mid-morning time
On
frame.
Saturday.
On Saturday and Sunday, because we wanted to put it on, you know, for people on both days.
Yeah.
Robbie Gordon's trucks are on Saturday and Sunday. We have the Porsche Carrera Cup, which are all Porsches, brand new 992 Porsches. They're on Saturday and Sunday. Of course, IMSA has their big race on Saturday for 100 minutes. And then Sunday, you know, the Indy cars come into town and they put on a good show.
The big show.
Yeah,
that's like I said, man, it's my favorite week of the year. I just so look forward to it. Just being in this business now, in the restaurant business, for as long as I've been, I've got such great relationships with a lot of these teams that come in, and they're really supportive of the local businesses.
And what we've tried to do over the years is expand on that weekend to get it from being a 2 or 3 day weekend to 4 or 5.
Right.
And this year, there was an announcement that went out that a new event's been added. I don't know if you're familiar with the fact, but IndyCar is trying to do something similar to what Formula One did with the Drive to Survive. I don't know if you know anything about Drive to Survive.
Yeah,
That's
I do.
that reality show that's been, you know, super successful. There's something called Countdown to Indy, which is a 6-part episode that leads from the beginning of the season at St. Petersburg through Texas, and then on to Long Beach, Barber, and then going to the Indy 500.
The month of May.
So it's going to be a reality show. But the premiere of the first episode is taking place on Wednesday night down at the convention center. We talked them into bringing it to L.A., bring it to the convention center, and putting it in the Terrace Theater. So it's going to be the first showing of that series here in Long Beach.
Awesome.
2 weeks before it actually goes on the air, which will be on CW, which is here it's KTLA Channel 5. But it's going to be a black tie, formal, red carpet kind of an event. And the public is actually being invited up to the limitation of obviously the capacity of the Terrace Theater. So it's a neat addition. But you get all those drivers, all the teams, all the sponsors now coming in on Wednesday, which they have, you know, they typically come Thursday. Thursday we have, you know, the Walk of Fame. This year we've got Ryan Hunter-Reay and James Hinchcliffe going in, being inducted into that Walk of Fame activity. And then Thursday night we have that free Thunder Thursday at the Pike, where we have pit stop competitions and car shows and freestyle motocross. But the whole idea is now you've expanded into 5 days. Then you roll into Friday, and suddenly, you know, then now you're into the racing.
Are you doing anything on 2nd Street this year?
No, we aren't. We did that.
A couple of years, right?
We did it for 4 or 5 years. But there were 2 challenges to that. One is the series that we did it with, which was a sports car series. We don't run that when we're running the Porsche Cup. The other one was, because of location, we had to truck all those cars down there.
Yeah.
And the challenge was a lot of the teams on Wednesday night were not excited about, hey, you know, our car's going down for 3 or 4 or 5 hours down to 2nd Street. And meanwhile, these other guys are taking their time and working on their computers and doing all that thing. So it got to be a real challenge finding people who wanted to give up their cars and go down there. But the whole idea behind what we did down there, what we do at the Pike, and what we do at the schools is to expand on the experience of the Grand Prix so it becomes really a city-wide event. Because there is some legitimate issues that are raised about, but everything's focused downtown. You know about that because of your involvement.
I did that.
And then the CVB and how everybody talks about downtown. But our responsibility is to expand on that universe. Get it out where people can experience what the Grand Prix is about. Even if they can't afford to come or don't have the time or the commitment. But we take a show car out and visit 8 different schools on race week, all around in every district. The whole idea behind that is, let's go out, show the children what the Grand Prix is about. There's a race car and a race driver, and give presentations, and that's a way for us to reach into the integral part of the community, and see if we can make it work. Then, in that light, what we do on race weekend on Friday is we invite 200 STEM students from high schools in the Long Beach area. Plus, Greg is great. Greg Bombard is great because he actually brings some over
from Catalina.
Exactly. And that was always part of the deal. Greg, can you bring some? And he'd bring 5 or 6 over. So you got 200 STEM students. We take them around. We show them what's going on in terms of the functioning of the teams and the engineers and all of that. Put on a lunch for them, and then they are opportunity to go out and observe what's going on. But it's another outreach to that segment of the population to say, hey, you know what? There's some interesting vocational opportunities in this sport or similar kinds of sporting activities, and here's your introduction to it. And Bank of California has been a big partner of us in that program, and I'll tell you, it's been so super successful that the limiting factor on how many students we can accommodate is only because you have to take them around in groups. You don't have so much time to take groups of 25 or 30 around.
So along those lines, so you also are involved in a lot of different charities that benefit from the Grand Prix.
There's Grand Prix Foundation is, been with us from the very beginning. It's gone through a couple of rejuvenations, but now under Rick DeRee's leadership, it's being reformulated, and it's now got to the point where, for example, we're doing the 5K run twice around the track, which has become a really popular event, and we're looking to do some additional activities with Long Beach City College with their CTE program, their trade program. And I'll tell you, so they've done a great job, but I'll tell you another program that a lot of people aren't aware of. Don Rodriguez.
Boys and Girls Club.
So King Taco, who has been a sponsor of ours for years and will be for years, I can tell you. Great guy, Raul Martinez there, came to us a while back. When he first came, he said, I want to find a way whereby we can really impact on the young people in the community. We got to find a way to do that. So what we did, we went, and with his support, we went to Don Rodriguez and we said, Don, can we put together a program whereby we can invite the Boys and Girls Club members, not just from Long Beach, but from Southern California, to the race? Because what Raul Martinez at King Taco wanted to do was they said, we'll support that. And we took literally like a half a grandstand or so, and he provides 1,000 reserve seat tickets on Sunday right at the start-finish line for the members of the Boys and Girls Club. And he's done it continuously now for 16 years. Do the math. 16,000 young people, boys, girls, young age, have had a chance to come to the race, courtesy of King Taco and Raul Martinez. And I tell you what, every year he gets oversubscribed by people saying, I want to go, I want to go, I want to go. So it's just one of those things where I don't think that King Taco and Raul, and quite frankly Don too for his efforts, get enough attention because of the efforts that go.
I knew there was a big benefit to the Boys and Girls Club, but that's the first time I've heard that.
Oh,
that's incredible.
And that's a challenge for us because there's so much stuff going on a weekend. It's hard to tell that message and get that out. But we think it's a great story. 16,000
That's amazing.
young people.
Then who does the program sales? Is that a charity-driven deal also?
It used to be
right?
Long Beach Junior Chamber of Commerce.
I remember those days.
So what's happened now is after COVID, what we did was we took a look at that and said, one, it got harder and harder to find good program sellers because financially it was tough to make it work. When it was part of a charity effort or an effort on behalf of a club and organization, it worked. But so what we did was afterwards is we went to a digital program, and we've continued that now. This will be our third year, 2021, 22, and now 23. And what we're doing is we're putting it digitally. It's on our site. It's available to everybody, and so that all the content of that is there for everybody to read. But in addition to that, what we've done this year is we have created an app for the Acura Grand Prix, which is downloadable. You can not only download it for free, but it has the capability of being available for push notifications or anything else we want to get out to anybody that has the app during the weekend. For example, the concert's about to start, or there's an autograph session going on, or here are the food trucks that are down in the food village area down there today as opposed to yesterday and tomorrow, whatever. So we see that as another great vehicle to communicate with our customers, because that's what this thing is all about. People coming and being comfortable, being able to engage and being aware of what's going on, so they always have the opportunity to participate with them.
And the concerts have become a big hit.
Yeah.
And who is your entertainment this year?
So we have the Kings of Chaos is back. Matt Sorum has put that together, and we have Corey Glover, we have Lizzie Hale, Corey Taylor, and.
Of course, I sit here, I don't even know who you're talking about.
Right, but that's not important. What it is
exactly.
is I get 25 to 45-year-olds out there, and they're enjoying themselves. So that's Saturday night's concert. And it's good because you have amalgamation of different kinds of talent to put that together. Rome is also in that group. Then on Friday night, we're going to do something totally different. We've always had a Fiesta Friday, which was a Hispanic-oriented kind of a band and musical act. This year, we're having a DJ come and be a part. He's got a Hispanic orientation to it, but we think that's going to be different. People, dancing and having fun and enjoying themselves. But a musical component on both Friday and Saturday night we think are important because it gives people an added incentive for coming out and spending literally the whole day and part of the evening too. Because keep in mind that on Friday and Saturday night we also have drifting under the lights. So there's a lot of things to be attracted to in terms of
drifting's been there now how long?
Well, we've had drifting for 10, 11 years now.
Yeah.
That has a totally different orientation to it. There's people that follow drifting that, to them, that's the most important event of the weekend.
No interest in Indy cars. They just want to watch the drifting.
And you know what? That's what we've been able to do over the years is we've been able to identify those specific groups and the sporting elements that appeal to them. And that's one of the reasons that's the compilation of the 6 races that we put on. Why do you do those 6? What's the intriguing part about that? And a lot of it falls down to what are people interested in? What do they want to see? What do they want to get? Like, why do you put IMSA, which is the sports car race, on Saturday? Well, think about it. Southern California, that has all the cars that are aspirational for people, right? Like Ferrari, Porsche, Corvette, BMW. That's what people would love to own, but certainly want to watch in action. So we put it out there. In Southern California, it's a big hit. That's why people love it.
Yeah. So I remember the days when you first started, the Committee 300 was a massive part of the volunteer arm of your organization.
Yeah.
And I just think over the years, they've always done a great job with they have that event they have it on Shoreline, right? I forget what it's called. The Paddock Club. The Paddock Club.
Yeah, we call it Club C300 now. We changed the name because there were a lot of paddock clubs around, so we wanted to identify. But huge support group. You know, they provide us with services all year long. I mean, you go to the LA Auto Show, they're there. You know, you go out to Fontana to the NASCAR race, they're out there, et cetera, et cetera. So invaluable. But more important than that, they're ambassadors for us throughout the city. You run into them, I run into them. They're everywhere.
And they're always in their red jackets.
And their red jackets. And God bless them. They're so fervent in terms of their affiliation with.
And you've had some people that have been doing it for 35, 40 years.
Yeah, I mean,
I just see them and I think, my God.
Yeah, they've grown with the
event. They're dedicated,
just like we have. You know, so yeah, it's they're invaluable in that sense, and you know they'll be putting on the C300 Club 300 event this year again.
And that has music and food, bars open.
3-day hospitality area, or you can buy Sunday only. But they'll also be manning all of the grandstands, helping out in the press room, doing the kinds of things that you need volunteers for. Otherwise, it's not economically viable.
How many volunteers would you say are involved in the Grand Prix?
About almost 1,500.
Wow.
By the time you get done with all of the race marshals and race management people who do a lot of the security, committee of 300 people, and then we have a number of people that come and volunteer to just help us in hospitality, in the press room, in the operational aspect. They just come, book their weekend as a holiday or take off from work during the week. And are part of it. It's April. We got to go to the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. One, you can't replace those people because of their devotion to the event.
Yeah.
I mean, you can hire all sorts of people, but you're never going to find anybody who wants to come back year after year after year and make the commitment they do, time, energy, and most of all, the personalization of it. You know, I mean, you'd be surprised how many people they come up to and they say, good to see you again this year, glad to have you back. And that makes our customers, our clients feel, very welcome. And you're in the hospitality business. You know what it's like,
I do.
When somebody greets you and says, man, you know them by name, you know what their affiliations are, you know what their business or their activities are. That makes them feel welcome. Makes them feel amazing. A part of the family.
Yeah. In the last month, I would say now you're seeing more red coat action in town.
Yeah.
The red coats are out.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And you can tell they're in it, they're loving it, and they're having a good time at the same time.
Yeah. And John, 48 years is a long time. And one of the challenges of an event like ours is how do you retain the interest? How do you maintain the capability of attracting not only your existing audience, but making adjustments so that it grows? And it's a testament to all of those people who, at the end of the day, when we do a survey, which is a massive survey of all of our customers after the event is over, and it delves into their likes, dislikes, what would you like to see change, et cetera. 93.5%. In the last one survey we did after the 22 race, said the race was either excellent or very good. Those are impressive numbers, and it's a reflection of all of the contribution that all those people have made.
When I was leaving the restaurant to come and meet you today, Jim Gray's in there, and I said I was coming to meet you, and of course he was one of the founders of the Committee 300,
absolutely,
and he was very involved in helping get this race off the ground, I presume back then.
Yeah.
But and he, oh my God, John Queen, right?
John Queen,
yeah,
senior and junior.
Yeah. I mean, those are the guys I remember that back in the 70s they were
movers and shakers in town. Chris Pook had put together a group of people that could help him, and we also reached out. We got investors in those days. way back when, who invested in that race when there was very little to justify investing in. You know, it was.
Well, they just believed in the city, and the concept was a brilliant idea. Who would have ever thought?
To give it a try.
Yeah.
And look, it survived and hopefully contributed to all of the dynamic growth that's taken place in the city.
Well, I don't imagine you could put the value on the exposure that the Grand Prix has given Long Beach.
Yeah, I mean, the younger generations, people in town, et cetera, I don't think quite understand the impact that it had back then, when every year it showed that barren wasteland that was out behind Shoreline Drive,
movies,
and the X-rated movies,
tattoo parlors galore,
and down Ocean Boulevard, and then now they see, how much growth there is and the dynamic element that's involved there, and so there's sort of an expectation that that's sort of what the Grand Prix is supposed to bring, which is fine.
Yeah.
But when you take a look at the television coverage that emanates from that race now, we have up to 9 hours of first-run television programming, and it's buttressed by the fact that NBC network will be covering the IndyCar race here for the second year in a row. And that's huge.
Yeah.
Because that gives you a 3-hour postcard of what the city's all about.
And that view is unbelievable.
And because it's outside, it isn't inside an arena. It isn't somebody, with the Goodyear blimp flying over and looking down at a building. You got to cover the car when it's going down Shoreline Drive. Guess what? You get Shoreline Village, you get the Pike, you get the Port, you get the Queen Mary.
It's a beautiful backdrop.
You have to show it.
It is beautiful, yeah.
And then they swing around and show the skyline of the city, and you look up and you go, wow, that building, those things.
Even today, those drivers, a lot of the drivers, when I talk to Bobby Rahal all the time, and he'll tell you that pretty much everybody's favorite race is the Long Beach race.
Well, we like to think so. I mean, there's... Obviously, they love the Indy 500 too.
Well, that's a different deal.
But that's a whole different. That's a whole different world. I'll tell you. If you've been to that, you know that that's structured differently. But this is, I like to think it's up the list.
Well, I think it is because, like I said earlier on, this is my favorite week of the year. I love everybody that's coming to town, and just what it does for the city is unbelievable. But going forward, you guys, did we have a new contract with the city right now?
Contract with the city. We did that a couple of years ago. Carries us through 28. Keeping in mind that 28 is also going to be the year that the city hosts
the Olympics.
The Olympics, second largest venue selection there. So there's going to be a lot of activity.
Moving parts.
What's that?
A lot of moving parts.
In fact, I understand, haven't seen it yet, but it was relayed to me that their contract starts roughly the day after we are out in terms of the removal of our safety system in 28.
Wow.
So that's how tight that is, because it's in the summertime and we're in April, so it gives them those months to prepare. But yeah, and that to us, that's a big thing, because again, the television coverage is going to emanate from there, especially with those outdoor pools and the triathlon and all that. I mean, you got to show the skyline, you got to show the beaches, you got to show shoreline and all that stuff.
Where are they putting the pools? Not in the same parking lot it was in before,
yeah, but it's going to be, as I understand, it's going to be across the way on the east end of the parking lots. But yeah, they're going to build those temporary pools, just like
Olympic
we did.
Pools, remember that?
Just like we did.
That was awesome, though. The look was incredible. Yeah.
The NBC covered the Olympic trials, swimming trials.
With the success of the F1 on Netflix, with the IndyCar upcoming, and what that's done for Formula One, I really believe that Netflix show, when I saw the crowds they had at Austin and the different, I'm thinking, that's all Netflix.
A majority of it is.
I mean, so to me, with your saying that you're going to be doing the build-up to the Indy this year, right?
Yeah.
I just think that is going to take the open-wheel racing to another level again on the IndyCar series.
That's the intention. That's the hope, obviously. And then there'll be an opportunity for them to grow that, so that now they begin to incorporate the season into it and do something like Drive to Survive.
Have you watched the golf one?
No, I haven't, but I've heard it
PGA has one now, and it's pretty good. But the bar's been set with the Formula One. So that's what people have to do. Whatever they do, they got to.
It's tough, and that's a tough bar. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
That, because just think about it. You have this whole cosmopolitan feel to it. You travel all over the world, right? You have all these images from everywhere. You have a very high class clientele that's associated with it, and you got the best drivers, theoretically at least, driving in that series. But what they've done well, and I hope IndyCar does the same, is the interrelationships, the personalization of the drivers, and some of the trials and tribulations.
Well, that's what's needed. That's what people want to watch.
Exactly. You know. Sometimes you watch Drive to Survive, and you don't even know who won the race because they don't even cover it, right? Yeah. It's what happened before and what happens afterwards, you know. So their methodology is solid, and like I say, it's a high bar to match up.
So the video you were saying is going to break out the Wednesday night before the Grand Prix.
Right.
When was that shot?
That was shot at the first
this
race at
St. Petersburg.
Yeah, the difference between the Indy project and Formula One is the Indy project is going to air right after these events take place, literally. I mean, there's going to be 6 episodes, 5 of which are going to start on April the 27th, and then there'll be scheduled after that right up to the Indy 500. So from a marketing tool standpoint, it actually has more potential to attract people to say, wow, you know what, I got to tune in to the 500 or whatever. Whereas with Formula One, it's the year after. You know, you're watching what happened in 22.
I'll just tell you this. With me, I buy my packages, as you know, and I do them through the boathouse. People will say to me, you know, I've never been to the Long Beach Grand Prix, but I just love the Formula One stuff. I want to go. In their mind, it's open wheel racing, I think. It's very similar to Formula One. It's as exciting to me as Formula One. And I think you're going to get a whole new clientele.
And from a financial standpoint, it's much more affordable. I don't know if you saw the pricing for
Vegas.
For Vegas,
talk about that right now. Go ahead. What is the Long Beach Grand Prix 3-day ticket cost?
I'll tell you, $175.
The ones I'm buying are $175. First turn, Shoreline Drive.
Yeah.
First turn in Vegas. What would that be?
It was $2,500. $2,500.
Who the hell can afford?
If you could get it. If you could get it, right? And then behind that, in one other section around the Sphere, $2,000. They had a general admission standing only area. They had 1,800 tickets there, and they were gone in like 10 minutes. Which just shows you what the price points were. You know, there were a lot of people that could afford 500, but when they get to 2,000 for, and there's only one race. There's only one race there. They wanted it to be as simple and easy as possible. And the race is at night.
Right.
At night.
No.
Okay? So in the daytime, I assume they're going to open up the streets and afford people the opportunity to go down because, you know, those casinos, they want people
they want the bodies
coming in here, okay? I got your fence, I got your street, I got your racetrack, but I want guys in my casino too. So
yeah, but how much of those seats are being bought by those casinos to bring in big-time gamblers?
Bellagio is emptying the pool so they can put a grandstand in there facing on the street. You know, it just goes to show you the level of activity
money
around it.
It's all about the money.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, they're projecting $500 million up to $750 million in revenue.
Well, 3 or 4 of us were talking about doing it. We'd already planned we're going to do it, and then our good friend Mike Hall, the old Renaissance GM guy. He was checking on the rooms for us when he called us back. I said, maybe we should just stay at home and watch it. I mean, it's kind of like you got to have 5 nights.
Yeah, 4-night minimums, and they're anywhere from $1,500 to $2,300
a night.
A night.
Not a weekend. A night. It's kind of like.
By the way, if you look for the extras that come with that, you're not going to find it. It's a room. That room, the same one you were paying $300 or $400 for any other time. So. It's just a phenomenon.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. I just received something the other day. Al Unser Jr., he won the Long Beach Grand Prix, what?
6
times. What is he doing in his life right now that you know of?
Well, it's funny you ask because Joe Murray, I think you know Joe Murray.
Yeah, somebody's asking for money to sponsor him to come here, and I thought,
yeah.
What's that about?
Yeah. Well, Joe is writing a story about Al. Unser Jr.
Okay.
And made contact with him. In fact, she asked me for his contact information, which I gave to her. And she contacted him. He's moved from Albuquerque to Avon, near Indianapolis. It's right outside, near the track, quite frankly. And, he's had some challenges in his life, but he seems to have managed to get over them. And so she was in the process of inviting him out to the race. We've had him a number of times. He was a grand marshal, etc. So I think she's trying to see if she can't find a way to get him. Oh,
she was raising the money.
She and Dave. Dave Murray.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that was what was, and I haven't talked to her recently about how that effort is going. But he's the all-time winner.
Yeah,
6 times. He's and he's been really supportive. And we have Ryan Hunter-Ray and we have James Hinchcliffe, who are going into the Walk of Fame, and they've been super successful not only at our track but at
every track,
Indianapolis.
So who you picking this year?
I don't pick anybody. You know why? I just want it to be a safe race. Because in the end, if people come out and they say they had a good time,
that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Yeah. Honestly, it is. Because we can't even predict a good race sometimes. I mean, sometimes they're good, and sometimes, let's face it, they're a snoozer, right?
Yeah.
No yellows, everybody just goes.
It's terrible when you have to think, we need some yellows.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
need a yellow.
Can that piece of the car fall off on the track and we'll stop everything? But no. The whole idea behind the event is, one, is very fan-friendly because of the way it's designed. Children under 12 are free from the very first day we opened the gate. Has been that policy all the way through. Now more and more racetracks are starting to adopt it because they see the only way you're going to get people to come and bring their family is not to make it cost prohibitive, right? So if you get 12 and under for free, then 2 adults, 2 kids, they'll come, spend some money in the concessions, merchandise, enjoy all the activities. We don't charge extra. You go to the concert, there's no, oh, sir, you need to buy a $30 ticket for that or something. It's all included in the price. When people walk out, if mom had a good time doing whatever she wanted to do, dad had a good time, the kids watched Robbie Gordon's trucks jumping through the air, God, this is the greatest stuff. That you've accomplished what you were looking to do, which is satisfy people's desire to have a safe, convenient environment in which they can bring their family and enjoy themselves. And that's what it's about.
It's about time. It's a good way to end it then, right there. So real quick, what do you see the future upcoming for your next 5 years of IndyCar, open wheel racing?
There are going to be some changes. I think most of them will be positive. IndyCar, this year, the IMSA GTP cars are fully hybrid and gasoline engine cars. Next year, IndyCar goes that same route, so they'll be hybrid. What you're starting to see right now is a tremendous focus on sustainability. Okay, that's become key to so many of the initiatives that are coming out. What are we doing to preserve the environment? Because racing, by its very nature, is not real environmentally friendly, if you would. So there's a real pressure, a real intensity for the sport to be able to show some concrete measures that they're employing to meet those needs. I think that's going to be one of the keys. The other one is going to be what's happening with EVs, electric vehicles.
Yeah.
How is that going to get integrated in? Where are we going?
I don't like that. There's no noise.
We're not there. Well, that's coming, but maybe there needs to be incorporation of some synthetic noise to meet that. Who knows? But the challenge you got is so many of the major manufacturers, virtually all of them, are spending a huge amount of money to transition from ICE, internal combustion engines, to EV. In fact, a lot of them are just bypassing the hybrid, and they're just going from one state to another. So, in 2035, you can't sell a ICE car here in the state of California.
We'll see. Hey, we'll see.
I got it. And then and that's one of the challenges we have as a sport, is to say, is this feasible? Can we make this work? And what is it going to do to our fan base?
You also do racing.
Yeah.
And you do every year, you do the 24.
I've done the 24 hours at Daytona for 17 times. Lately, I've been going over to Europe and racing a lot more because I have an Italian team that I race with. So I raced at the Nürburgring and at Le Mans and at Spa. And I just had an opportunity to go back to Spa and race again, but I told the guy, I said, don't even contact me till after April the 16th because I'm not available. But I try to get in 2 or 3 races over there. I drive mostly Porsches and Lamborghinis. But it's just, I love doing it.
Are you the new Paul Newman at that age you're doing it right now? I mean, you and Paul Newman doing it old.
He ran, when I was at Daytona those years, he ran in the 24, and he was 80 years old.
That's right. And you're right there, aren't you?
80 years old. I'm right in that group now, select group. But you know what?
But you're still racing.
But it's what your passion is. That people go, they love to fish, they love to golf, they love whatever. That's what I do. So I'm happy doing it, and I'm happy with the opportunity to be able to still continue to be involved with the Grand Prix, quite frankly.
Well, Jim, I thank you for your time today. Well, like I said, it's my favorite week of the year. I've never missed a year, and this year I won't miss this either.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. You guys have been one great supporter of our event. You bring your friends, you bring all of your acquaintances, and we've had a great relationship. And I appreciate the opportunity to come and just discuss what's happened in the past, and more importantly, where we're going in the future.
That's right.